I'm live. That's right. We're still alive. And today I took a few requests. No, I'm going to do this live stream anyway. No, I'm just kidding. I got a request from someone named Camilla who was very supportive on my last stream about Mick Jagger, and someone named Operator. Operator. So I have a lot of Rod Stewart. I've been a lifelong collector of his memorabilia and vinyl. So I'm going to have to just take this in pieces. So we're going to start out with today. It's just going to be about vinyl mostly. But I want to prove to you that I am a fan. So give me a second here. This is it. This is proof, right? This is my personalized Rod Stewart photo that I got from Rod. He's so very kind. If you write to him, hopefully he'll write you back. If you send it to his management company, I think there's a website called fanbiz.com, something like that, and they'll tell you where to write. Here's my son's. I wrote away for DJ Dallas, and Rod is so amazing. He actually sent him an autograph photo. These are both from Rod. I didn't send them out. I just sent the request in a self-addressed envelope, and voila. Well, Rod Stewart has been playing music live for about 60 years now. He got started as a harmonica player in 1962, and later on, he started joining some of these other bands as a singer who was very shy. And I heard that the first couple of his gigs, he actually put his back to the audience. He was had so much stage fright, he didn't want to show his face. He, time to time, he did odd jobs like being a grave digger. That's right. And now we all dig him, right? Anyway, he also was a very big fan of Al Jolson. And if you ever see him get on his knees and do that whole kind of mammy pose, that's for you, Al. All right, without any further ado, I'm going to start with some of his early albums, and of course I'll get into Jeff Beck Group and Small Faces and Faces and Steam Packet and all those other offshoots. We even have some greatest hits and some soundtrack recordings to share for you. I don't have every single Rod Stewart album on vinyl. A lot of them are on cassette or CD, and I have some DVDs and so forth, but that's going to have to wait for another day. So if I miss an album, don't say, oh my God, you forgot that. Don't worry, I probably have it on another format, but after in the late 80s, they stopped commonly reissuing his albums, and now I think they've reissued many of them on vinyl. So we'll just, pretty much show, most of his stuff from the 60s through the 80s on vinyl, and then we can get into the other cool stuff another time. Thank you all for all watching, tuning in. I'm going to start with this one here. It's called Rod Stewart, A Shot of Rhythm and Blues. Recorded in the United Kingdom from 1964 to 1966. I don't know if you've ever seen this one. It's got a nice gatefold on it, and it has a lot of early blues songs like Shake, Bright Lights, Big City. A lot of people used to cover that song. All right, we're going to put these over here. Here's another one of Rod's early hits. I think it's on Pickwick Records or something like that. And I believe it covers a couple different branch off groups like Steam Packet. You remember Steam Packet? That was one of his early groups. And then there was the Faces also. So there's some early stuff from Rod there. Okay, let's kind of move on to Jeff Beck Group. right? Remember when he joined Jeff Beck Group? He did two albums around, I believe 67 was the first album that came out. Ronnie Wood, Jeff Beck, Rod Stewart. You can't beat that lineup. This album is called Truth. And they did a version of Shape of Things on there as well. Green Sleeves, I Ain't Superstitious, You Shook Me, Beck's Bolero, Rock My Plimsoll. A lot of cool songs on this one. And then he joined another band with Ronnie Wood. They kind of look like brothers here. There's Ronnie and Rod. There they are. Okay. This is called Small Faces. And they got Mickey Mouse on the front cover with them as well. It's kind of the origins of faces that we all came to know and love. Here's a couple Faces album. This one is really cool. It's called Ooh La La, Faces, Ooh La La. And it even, you can sing along, Ooh La La, if you wanted to. Pretty cool album. This one has, of course, Silicone Grown, Cindy Incidentally, Fly in the Ointment, and Ooh La La. That's right. Ron Wood sang the lead vocals on Ooh La La. I never really noticed that because his voice sounded different. I thought it was another member. This guy. There you go. A lot of cool stuff here. And Faces, Ooh La La. And here's Rod Stewart and Faces live. They were like the ultimate party band, weren't they? They were just Stay With Me, and they were just a fun band. And Faces, as you know, ended when Ronnie Wood joined the Stones. That was kind of a shocker for Rod. They thought, because Ronnie Wood was performing on a lot of Rod's solo albums, and that's what I'm going to get to next. Rod's solo work. And this one I think is called the Rod Stewart album, but it may have been called something about raincoats, old raincoat, and Will Never Let You Down, or something like that. After one of the songs. This one is a 70s reissue, gatefold. Cool album. Man of Constant Sorrow, Handbag, and Glad Rags. Cindy's Lament. He seems to like to write about someone named Cindy. Let's look at a couple more here. This one is Rod Stewart, Gasoline Alley. Another great song and album. Features Ronnie Wood. Gasoline Alley. And here it is. This is probably one of his biggest albums, Rod Stewart has sold over 250 million albums, and this one is one of his biggest sellers. This one kind of catapulted him into becoming a household name, into fame. Every picture tells a story, don't it? There it is. And it had a lot of great songs like Maggie May and the title track. Here's Rod Stewart, Never a Dull Moment. He's sitting in his chair. True Blue is the song that comes to mind. Angel, he does a version of Jimi Hendrix's song, and he did Twisting the Night Away, Sam Cooke. This is a really good album. And here's an album called Smiler, even though he's kind of only got a half smile going on there. Here's the gatefold, which actually includes a picture of Rod's dad here somewhere. I believe that's his dad. And some other celebrities. There's Ronnie Wood over here. Kenny Jones is there with the sunglasses. You might recognize a couple more people. But this is a really nice album. Sweet Little Rock and Roller is on there. A lot of cool stuff. He used to do Bob Dylan songs. Girl from North County is on this record. Very fine recording. Another great one that just seemed to keep getting better and better. Rod Stewart, Atlantic Crossing. About 10 or 20 years ago, they released the deluxe CD of this with a whole extra disc of songs that were previously unreleased, live and studio. It's a gatefold. Um, Atlantic Crossing. There you go. Rod Stewart. Sailing was a big song from this. Three-time loser. Drift Away. Remember the Dobie Gray song? I don't want to talk about it. Maggie May. That's right. That was on Every Picture Tells a Story. Thank you, Iris, for watching. That was a great one. He said he's not going to perform Maggie May anymore. Oh no, but I'm sure he'll get back to it. Even when he used to do the American Standards back in the early 2000s, he managed to throw a few of his signature hits in, like Maggie May. This is the one that when I really kind of started noticing Rod Stewart on the radio. This was, I believe, 76. This is when I started listening to the radio and hearing all those cool, rock and pop hits. And this one always reminded me of a Rembrandt album, Night on the Town. Just the Rembrandt style of impressionism. Cool album. It's got Tonight's the Night, and First Cut is the Deepest. Killing of Georgie, which he's going to play with Boy George. Don't kill Boy Georgie, but that's about really interesting. Part 1 and 2. And that song was somewhat controversial because he brings up the subject of homosexuality, which was kind of kept in the closet back then. It was kind of kept hush. And Rod Stewart, I remember seeing this album at Save-On. I don't know if any of you have been to that one. It's the predecessor to CVS Pharmacy. And they used to sell vinyl there, and I would just say, look, there's so many Stewarts. Rod Stewart, Al Stewart. But I just wondered, are they related? No, I don't think they are, but they both put out great albums. And here's the next one. It was called Footloose and Fancy Free. There it is. I don't know if you can see it. But it's got one of his signature songs on it called Hot Legs. That's right. Hot Legs. And what else? It's got If Loving You Is Wrong, I Don't Want to Be Right. That was a great cover. I love his version of that Vanilla Fudge hit. You used to hear Rod Stewart back in 72. Hey, Carmela, how are you doing? Maggie May. Yeah, that was the one that catapulted him from Every Picture Tells a Story. Good morning to you, too. I feel like I'm doing a rock and roll show and tell here for my classroom. You're Insane, Born Loose, You're in My Heart. These are all solid songs on here. I believe Carmine Apiece from Vanilla Fudge played on this album, I'm pretty sure. If not, he toured with them. And now you're getting to like mega fame, right? Blondes Have More Fun. And Rod went from rocker to disco star, kind of on, but he still kept his rock and roll roots. There were still some rock and roll songs on here. All right, keep on keeping on. That's cool. This is Blondes Have More Fun. It was a gatefold. There's a picture of Rod the Mod. And he went blonde here, platinum blonde. And this was, kind of controversial. Had that song, Do You Think I'm Sexy, which is probably one of his most popular songs. He'd always performed that, I think his final song in concert for many years. And he's going to be in concert with Boy George. I did a little video about that on Starlight Music. Carmine Apiece, you can see he was in the band too, providing some solid rhythm there. And you can't forget remember the picture discs? This is a picture disc of Blondes Have More Fun. I used to see this around a lot, but they were kind of expensive when I was in high school to buy these things. So I kind of waited till I got a good deal on eBay years later. Right? Some guys have all the luck. We're going to get to that one. That one's from Camouflage. And it's got some guys have all the luck, or and blondes have more fun, or do they? I don't know. It's the question he asks. Anyway, this is the picture disc. It plays. Some people think the picture disc sound quality is not as good as the black vinyl, but it all sounds pretty good to me. Depends upon what kind of a player you have, of course. Here's an album that he teamed up with Jeff Beck on. Jeff Beck played on Infatuation. I think he may have played on maybe another song or two as well, but that's the most famous one from the album. It has Some Guys Have All the Luck. That was actually a cover tune, I believe. I don't think Rod wrote that one, but he made it very, very famous, and that's my favorite version of it. His producer was a born again Christian and would not produce the song called Bad to Me. His name is Michael Omerity. Not a radio talk show. Anyway, we are going through the hits on here, and this is anyway Michael Omerity. I can't pronounce his name completely, but he would not produce Bad for Me. He didn't like the lyrics. All right, went against his core values. We got Rod Stewart. I think I'm getting out of order a little bit. I was getting a little bit excited about talking about Some Guys Have All the Luck. I remember that dance craze move that he did. But while I'm on that album called Camouflage, we'll talk. This was 1984, by the way. This has Jeff Beck, and it's called Flash, and it has a song with Rod. It was kind of he returned the favor for being on the Camouflage album. He did People Get Ready, which was a hit also. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go back a little bit because I jumped ahead to Camouflage, but here is Foolish Behavior. It's the follow up to Blondes Have More Fun, Rod Stewart. Foolish Behavior. It came with a poster. I had to keep buying albums to find the one with the poster, and I finally got one here. Very cool stuff. It's kind of large. I'll need a panoramic to show it. But anyway, Foolish Behavior had it was a good album too. I think it was a little bit underrated. It had Passion on it, Better Off Dead, Give Me Wings. Oh God, I Wish I Was Home Tonight. With some interesting music videos that went along with this. And then you had another landmark album. Rod's hair kind of resembled this Los Angeles palm tree. He was living in LA, I think, back in this time around in Malibu. One of my friends saw him recording or practicing some of his songs for his tour somewhere up in Malibu area. And I think Rod lives in Holmby Hills. I think he still lives out there in the exclusive part of Los Angeles. And Rod Stewart, Tonight I'm Yours. This was around 1981. I remember this one. My friend won this album on a radio station. I think it was Kiss FM or something in LA. And it had a lot of great songs. I remember there was a TV show live from the Forum that featured Rod Stewart and some duet performances with Tina Turner. I think they did Get Back. And he played a lot of songs from this album. Tonight I'm Yours. It has an inspiring song, Never Give Up on a Dream. Let me see what else we have. Tora, 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 Out with the Boys. Young Turks was probably the most notable from this album. And what else? Jealous. How long has this been going on? I love his version of that. Only a Boy. Kind of talks about Rod Stewart starting out. Only a Boy. Love Touch. Yeah, we're gonna get to that album next. You're always a step ahead of the game here. I love it. This is Rod Stewart. Tonight I'm yours. Don't hurt me, and you can tell it's loaned for promotion. It came from a radio station. They gave it out as a prize to my friend, and I purchased it from him. And this was the supporting album called Absolutely Live. That was also the name of the Doors live album. I don't know why he used it, but nonetheless, maybe it was a little nod to the Doors. Cruel but Fair. I used to wear that T-shirt, and it's got the greatest hits, of his music from the '70s and '80s, and as well as some songs from the Tonight I'm Yours album. They're really cool stuff, right? Rod Stewart. And then there was an album called Body Wishes. Remember that one? This one, I thought it was a solid album. It had a song called Baby Jane in it, and I used to like it. Dancing Alone. Body Wishes, the title track. Ghetto Blaster, Ready Now. It kind of had an '80s vibe to it, a lot of '80s stuff. This album cover is a nod to an Elvis Presley album called, I think, A Million Elvis Presley, or 50 Million Elvis Presley Fans Can't Be Wrong. Do you remember that one? It had Elvis kind of dressed like that. So it was a little bit of a nod to it. And you flip it over and you see the inverse of the background is now red and his suit is black. Anyway, interesting album. Let's see. I got a few more of his studio albums here. This one was really like almost a comeback album for Rod. It's called Out of Order. I kind of didn't like the cover that much because I couldn't see Rod's smiling face on it. He was just out of order. But, it was an interesting album. Lost in You, Dynamite, Forever Young. You remember that song that he adapted from a Bob Dylan song? He was a big Bob Dylan fan. He did a song called Crazy About Her on here. Try a Little Tenderness, which was a cover song. Nobody Knows You When You're Down and Out. I think that's a John Lennon song. If it's not, it's a nod to a John Lennon. No One Loves You When You're Down and Out, I think John did. So it's probably a variation on a theme. And what else we got? My Heart Can't Tell Me No. Nice, slow ballad from Rod. Rod had such an amazing raspy voice, but he really sang with a lot of heart and soul. This is probably my most current studio Rod Stewart album, and it's got that song Love Touch. I think it was from Legal Eagles. Gosh, I'm really jogging my memory. That was a late '80s movie starring Daryl Hannah. Daryl is now married to Neil Young, if you're following along at home. She used to date Jackson Brown. There was a big love story between them, and then it became tainted love, and we won't get into that. But this had a song called Love Touch. Very nice song from Rod Stewart. Interesting photo. I'm not sure if it did that great commercially, but I know that song was played a lot on the radio. All right, which brings me to the next group of albums, and I think they got buried under here, but I can yank them out. We'll get into greatest hits and soundtracks. Okay, how does that sound? It's a nice way to cap off the day. This is the Best of Rod Stewart. Best of Rod Stewart, Volume 1. It's a double album. Gatefold. It's showing a picture of the Pinball Wizard. It kind of reminds me of it, but actually it's a cup of alcoholic beverage. He's now selling Wolfie's. You guys all know about that. And Wolfie's whiskey, but this is way before Wolfie's whiskey. And there's a soccer ball. His great love was soccer. He said if he wasn't a rock star, he probably would be playing soccer, and he gets to practice a little on stage, and there's always a segment where he gets these inflatable soccer balls and kicks them out to the audience. He's got some pretty good form. I think he would have been a good professional soccer player, but I'm glad he chose music. Anyway, this is Best of Rod Stewart. It's got a lot of early stuff. Maggie May, Every Picture Tells You. This is Best of Rod Stewart Volume 2. All right, Best of Rod Stewart Volume 2. And it's got Man of Constant Sorrow, Sweet Little Rock and Roller, You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Man. Remember that song? He kind of adapted it for a male singer. That's All Right, Country Comfort, Twisting the Night Away, Rod Stewart Part 2. Here's the inside of the gatefold. Picture of Rod the Mod. Let's see if I got some more greatest hits. Here's another greatest hits. Another nod to whiskey. I guess you can see why he became a whiskey merchant. This one has got also some of his greatest hits. He does a cover of Street Fighting Man from his first solo album. And he does that Pinball Wizard from this Tommy album, which was kind of an orchestral nod to Tommy with a lot of different guest vocalists, and he was one of them. He did Pinball Wizard. I kind of prefer the Who or the Elton John version of that, but it's interesting to hear it nonetheless. Handbags and Glad Bags, which he performed at Piccadilly Circus with a street performer a couple of years ago. I posted a video about that. That was kind of cool. But anyway, this is interesting shape of vinyl, and it's got this little pocket where the record sleeve goes into. Just another greatest hits album from Rod the Mod. He's looking sharp on this one, right? In pink. That's right, Rod Stewart's greatest hits. This one came out, I believe, around 1980, if I'm not mistaken, and it featured some of his newer greatest hits at the time. It was more contemporary. It has Do You Think I'm Sexy and Don't Want to Talk About It, Tonight's the Night, You're in My Heart, I Was Only Joking. And it goes back to, his cover of First Cut is the Deepest, Cat Stevens, and his Killing of Georgie, and then he's got to throw in Maggie May. Come on, you're not going to buy a greatest hits without it. And speaking of greatest hits, I think one of the best greatest hits he ever did was Storyteller, because this one had a lot of albums in it, and it's a nice collection of. Starts in 1964 with Good Morning Little Schoolgirl, and it goes all the way to Downtown Train. That was a hit. He did This Old Heart of Mine, Downtown Train. Those never appeared on any solo albums other than this greatest hits, and if you wanted to buy the singles, which back then were mostly cassettes and CDs. This is a really nice look at his career from 1964 to 1989, and it has booklet in it, and I would recommend this one. It's very comprehensive. You don't have to keep buying all the greatest hits albums unless you want to get some that were released later, like in the 90s and 2000s. Those are good too. Now I've got this one here. This is called Night Shift, and it has That's What Friends Are For, Rod Stewart. Remember that song by Dionne Warwick? That's What Friends Are For? Well, he does a version of it. You can only find it on this album, Night Shift. I believe Henry Winkler starred in this, and he also had something to do with producing it or directing it or something like that. But it was a Brian Glazer production overall, Night Shift. And I think it had Michael Keaton in it as well. They were two guys running a morgue, and they were doing some illicit activities in there that they were trying to sponsor, so I don't want to give away the plot. Anyway, my last album I'm going to share with you today that has something to do with Rod Stewart is this one. It's called The Music for Unicef. That's right. music for Unicef. And it has a bunch of artists like Olivia Newton-John, John Denver, the Bee Gees, Rita Coolidge, Christo- Christopherson, and Andy Gibb, and Donna Summer, Earth, Wind, and Fire, ABBA. But it also has Rod Stewart doing a version of Do You Think I'm Sexy? One of the earliest live recorded versions that have been released officially. And there was a TV show. I remember seeing the TV show in the late 70s. I think this was either 78 or 79. And if you ever get a chance to pick it up, it's kind of cool. It's called The Music for UNICEF Concert. You might enjoy some of the other cuts on the album too. Too Much Heaven by the Bee Gees is on there. September, That's the Way of the World, Earth, Wind, and Fire, and so forth. But Do You Think I'm Sexy? A song that Rod usually would close with the last 20 so years. And that song was interesting because people who were not rock fans were going out looking for Rod Stewart albums in 78 when that song came out. That was a big disco hit, and it was kind of controversial that rock stars would sell out and do disco. I believe that Rod Stewart and Mick Jagger are full of energy. Well, I am a big fan of both of those artists too, and it's amazing. Rod is right now, he's 78, and Mick, I believe, is 79, just about to turn 80. Those guys are still amazing and energetic frontmen. I just saw Rod Stewart in England last month at the Jeff Beck tribute, and he was doing kind of a Jeff Beck group reunion with Ron Wood. They were playing some of his songs on that, and it was really cool. So you can see I'm a big fan, right? I went all the way out to England to see Rod and Ronnie and Eric, and I'm so glad I did. And I got to share that with you. If you haven't seen it, I put both nights of that show, the 23rd and 24th of May, up on Starlight Music. If you have any other ideas for live streams to do focusing on artists or concerts or groups, I have a lot of rare stuff too. We're going to get into the rare unauthorized recordings, I'm sure, very soon. But this one was pretty much all his, the vinyl that I could just pull out that I thought had something to do with Rod. And I want to thank you all for supporting this channel, because in many ways, this channel to me is what I really set out to do. 2018 when I started Starlight Music, and somehow I got carried away on that one with, bringing you clips of different things, concerts, and different news events and things like that. But I intend to come out and get into doing more of these live streams, maybe on location things, and just me out there sharing the music with you guys, because I'm a fan. I'm not going to be here, criticizing Rod Stewart and putting him down, and like some people would do, and when they rate his albums, I have a hard time rating them because I love them all. So I'm coming at it from a fan's point of view, and I can see you're all fans too. That's right. So you're not going to get a lot of harsh criticism here. And I think art shouldn't really be harshly criticized because it reflects people's views. We might both hear the same song, and one of us will love it, one would hate it. It's like any other kind of art. But nonetheless, Rod Stewart has given us 60 years of oral pleasure, right? Beautiful songs and vocals and great energetic performances. So that's what I choose to remember. And now that he has made the announcement a couple days ago that he's leaving rock and roll behind for a while, he did say for a while. So hopefully he'll get back to it, because I think that's really where he's at his best. But the American Songbook, he's doing well commercially with that. Some of his biggest selling albums, were some of those, but I think his heart is really in rock and roll, and that's where he belongs. And we look forward to supporting him on his next endeavor. I think he's doing an album with Jules Holland Orchestra, which is like doing like kind of swing jazz music. He's on tour currently in England. That's right. He's with Boy George. I wish he would have come to Los Angeles. I saw him, the last time I saw him was June 14th at the Hollywood Bowl, and Cheap Trick opened for him. That was a great show. Before that, I saw him with Jeff Beck at the Hollywood Bowl. I saw him with Stevie Nicks there. What else did I've seen him with? Cyndi Lauper there. Some great shows at the Hollywood Bowl. And I'm really glad I got a chance to see those. But like I said, I hope he comes, with Boy George out to North America as well. I know he's been playing at Caesar's Palace. I got to see one of those shows in Vegas back when he started that, maybe 10, 12 years ago. One of the most memorable shows I ever saw of Rod Stewart, though, was at the Tower Records parking lot. Can you believe it? If you bought an album of his, which was CD, you got to see Rod Stewart, a free ticket to see him in concert. And he played at the Whiskey and also at the Roxy on Hollywood. Three shows in one night. And I remember he did the song Ooh La La, and he did Hot Legs, and I was right up there. I mean, we were maybe 40 feet from the stage. The parking lot at Tower Records is not very large, and he was signing autographs at the beginning. He had a lot of fans there, so he didn't get to mine, but hey, for the cost of the CD, which I think was like $10 or $12, I got to see him in concert. So that was probably one of the most memorable Rod Stewart concerts. That was, I would say, around 98 or 99, right before the turn of the century. All right, well, that's some of my reflections of Rod Stewart. Feel free to leave your impressions and your comments, and we can pick this up where we left off. I'll bring out some more CDs and DVDs and box sets and things like that. So until then, don't forget to keep on rocking. Bye now, everybody.